I'm honored to welcome you all to this conference on shipping and seafarers, the next 30 years. It's an exciting time to be in the maritime industry, and we are here today to explore the technological innovations that will shape our future. This is our first industry seminar after the COVID-19 pandemic, and I'm sure the event will once again, as we can see, bring us all together, meet friends and colleagues from industry, and do the really essential network that we missed during those times. As Dr. Max was saying, this event coincides with IMEC's 30th anniversary. And throughout the day, you will hear some of us speak of an organization that has evolved to be recognized globally as distinctly different from others in the shipping. I think during last night's event, many of attendees came to me and said, "You are different." And that's how the event evolved. Not only that, but you will also now see our new rebranding that is going to lead us to the next 30 years. Many of us here, I think, will agree that our industry is at a crossroad. And this involves in technology that drives climate change agenda with a dual fuel engine is just one of those examples. Emission control that limits the greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. I don't think any of us will be able to get away without compliance of this trend. Digitalization that drives productivity on board. Automation that may bring a new, completely different challenge. And obviously, upgrading skills of our seafarers, existing and emerging, who will be in the front line of implementation of all these changes. And I do mean front line, because seafarers are at the final stage of implementation, whatever industry throws at them. The men and women who work on our ships are the backbone of this industry, and we must ensure that their needs and concerns are heard and addressed as we move forward. During the day, we will meet and hear from the seafarers themselves and find out firsthand what future do they see in their own eyes. We have a great conference ahead, and one that I'm sure you'll find it informative, whilst also aiming to bring hard truths with hope that the action points can emerge from all of that we reflect and consider implementing, or at least allow us to start having that conversation that I think industry already has started but needs to continue. Maritime industry, as we all know, has come out of the pandemic stronger than ever and proved to the world at large how vital the industry is for global trade. Shipping showed its resilience. The seafarers showed their determination and the spirit, and without them, this industry that we love and on which most of the world depends would have failed. And many of us in this room contributed, together with the seafarers, how that resilience was achieved. We should always remind ourselves that for the seafarers who, during those time and today, work 24/7, 365 days without fail. At this stage, I would like to ask all of us to clap for our seafarers, just to thank them for all the things they are doing on. Yeah. I think Dr. Max gave some idea what the conference is going to look like today, but just something from me. This conference aims at focusing on the future of shipping and the seafaring over the next 30 years. This is a difficult task to predict what technological innovations we will be expecting over the next few decades. Traditionally, shipping has not been looked at favorably by wider world, even though industry carries over 90% of the global trade. Recently, or last few years, due to various factors, we have noticed that the global regulatory bodies, governments, and the wider industry are taking keen interest to guide the industry towards a future of low carbon emission, digitalization, and most important of all, investments in training that will allow our seafarers to work safely and flourish in this new challenging world. For IMEC as an employers organizations, I think today, throughout the day, we will be focusing as much as possible on the seafarers themselves and how they will be dealing with the technological changes that is coming. Introduction of new technologies have gathered pace due to pressure from various sectors of the society. Environmental pressure groups have pushed UN, IMO, ILO, and other regulatory bodies to work closely with industry and machinery makers, engine makers on low emission and dual fuel engines. Similarly, higher operating cost is an incentive to introduce digitalization on ships operating. And this introduction is at a much faster pace today than it was ever done before. While all these changes are taking place, the seafarers' minimum training standards have not changed, leaving employers, our members, to add additional training to ensure seafarers attain the standards needed to operate these high-end, high-tech ships. While more investment is expected to come into innovation on all these areas, the investment for seafarers training are in reality lacking. And this conversation of how we can change that need to accelerate. IMEC has been involved in various training initiatives, as we know and we heard, and we're going to hear throughout the day, including supporting members to set up their training centers and modern training facilities such as high-end simulators. You may recall our last conference in 2019, we had lively presentations on fully automated technology in shipping and when this may occur. Hopefully we'll be able to have updated views, progress in this area. When we talk about fully automated, we don't mean fully automated. We mean engine automations and not ships that is running without anybody on board. We have our social partners here. I believe they believe in the same thing. We shall see how it goes. Last 6 months, we have all been exposed to something called artificial intelligence in a different way. And I have just been thinking, and many of us, how that technology will eventually be introduced on ships and what that will actually have an effect on operation of the ships. So some challenging thoughts for us, probably during the day, we can talk about a little bit of artificial intelligence that may affect our ship operation. Seafarers are key to shipping conversations about what a seafarer of 2050 or 2053, as Max was saying, would look like. I think it puzzles me, puzzles many of us. Some of the things that comes through my mind probably is very radical and probably not even appropriate to put it up here. The upcoming STCW revisions will only go up to a point, as we all know, these are minimum standards. Therefore, additional training will continue from our employers and our members. The solutions may come in steps that will include short and long-term goals. The short-term goals may include upgrading and training standards of our existing seafarers. But a long-term goal must include radical rethinking of what education level we should expect from new seafarers and how they should be prepared for the job. And this radical rethinking probably will evolve over the years, and we might, in 2050, 2053, might see a completely different landscape of people who actually operate the ships. From our viewpoint as employers, we always see a lot of focus largely on developing the new technologies, with industry driving the change and how this may affect employment conditions for future generations. So we all attend many seminars all over the world, technical discussions. I do fail to see sometimes they don't connect that the people who will be operating those will be our seafarers, and what we should be talking about them while we are talking about all the technological innovation that is going to improve the operation of ships. Another point I think we should all be looking is how do we attract younger generation to join our industry? As we have seen, my time in the industry of more than 40 years, I remember a lot of brilliant students used to go to sea. That has tapered down now. So there must be something that we are not doing right to attract talents from young generation to come to the industry. So I think a conversation on how this can change needs to work with employers and our social partners and industry at large. It has been highlighted by recent reports that approximately 450,000 seafarers would require some kind of additional training by 2030, and about 800,000 seafarers by the mid-2030s. Serious challenges await seafarers, and we must ensure we are prepared to support them in this transition. And this support must be realistic with achievable goals set in front of us. Pandemic taught us that if the seafarers are not taken care of, the industry will come to a halt. Our eyes are firmly fixed with conference on the future. With IMEC, we are heading into 15th anniversary of IMEC training in the Philippines in November. And as we have seen, Admiral Santos was fittingly going into next 15 years with a very challenging construction that will help our cadets in MAM. There will be panel discussions, as Dr. Max was saying, that will address seafarers, and many of us will We will be able to hear from them directly what they want, and hopefully we will learn something from them, and not just forget of today, but probably keep it with us for the conversations that as leaders of the industry, we can talk. I think diversity is a conversation that we are having all the time, but talking is not the only thing. Probably we need to do much more than that. And we have industry representation from cadets who will be talking about those. Without diversity, without female participation in the shipping industry, I don't think we can make progress. And one of the things with new technology coming in, we can't be talking about muscular power of man to be at sea, and we can be talking about female cadets who are as good as the thinking to operate the ships just as men do. Last night, we heard IMEC has taken two UN sustainability goals in our target, decent work and economic growth, which is UN goal number 8, and number 17, partnership for the goals. We don't limit ourselves to these two goals, but I think these are the two key goals that we wish to focus. I want to emphasize that the success of maritime industry will depend on our ability to work together as an industry and to support our seafarers. As we implement new technologies, we must ensure that they are safe, reliable, and they do not compromise the well-being of those who operate our ships. Sometimes we do forget that. We are bringing productivity on board, but we forget the well-being of our seafarers. We must also continue to invest in training and development of our seafarers so that they can adapt to the changing demands of their jobs and continue to excel in their roles. Not only that, but we must also ensure that we continue to drive diversity and inclusivity, as the maritime industry has traditionally been viewed as a male-dominated and exclusive field. By working to break down these stereotypes and promote greater diversity, we can encourage more people to consider careers in the industry. A more diverse workforce can bring new ideas and perspectives to the industry, which can help drive further the innovation we are seeing to improve efficiency. Finally, thank you for your participation in this conference, and we hope you enjoy the hospitality of IMEC has provided for all of you, and I look forward to seeing the great things that we will achieve together in next 30 years. Thank you very much.